here we are back in the blueprint editor. Now we've got the animation of the switch working fine. We've got the glow material coming on to show the fitments are have been switched on, the spotlight and then the cab light. We've also got keyboard control up and down with L and Shift L. So now we want to actually put light entities in there, so things that actually create a light in the cab. Now we've got 3 lights. In fact, we've got 4 lights in the cab because we've got a desk light as well. But for now, we'll just do the cab light and the spotlight. Now, spotlight. That's going to be reasonably easy. That wants to be a spotlight. You've got 2 sorts of light. You've got a point light and you've got a spotlight. Now a spotlight is the sort you get on a stage where it's shone from the back and it forms a circle around the artist. It's very focused. It's focused into a cone shape, if you like. A point light is like the light you get in the bulb, you know, at home or whatever, and it radiates light all around it. You know, if that bulb was perfectly circular, the light would just radiate from all around it. So we have to decide what we're going to use. Now the spotlight is easy. That's going to be a spotlight. That's the best way to do that is to create a spotlight. The cab lights, now again, we don't have to stick to the real world here. They're diffused in the sense that there'll be probably LED strips. And they're diffused through a plastic material that will diffuse the light. So you won't see them in the sense of a spot. It'll just generate a light in the cab. Now, it probably means that it's probably unwise to use them, use spotlights for those. They might be better as point lights. But again, if you put 2 in there, you might find it over bright in the middle where they meet up. And if you try and get them not to meet up, if you like, by making them smaller, you might have a dark area or what. I wouldn't like to say what's best to do there. My own personal choice, I think, would be to make a larger single point light radiating from the middle of the cab, okay, rather than 2 from where the fitments are. But you can play about with that and see what looks best. But first up, I think I will go for a single light, because in where you've got the solid walls of the cab as well, close to you will see the sense of where the light is emanating from. So if you've got a ceiling and you've got the light close to the ceiling, you'll see a bright patch on the ceiling there where the light is. If you lower the point of the light, it will tend to disappear. Okay, so I would say you're probably better off using a light in the middle of the cab, so not where the fitment is at all, but in the center of the cab, to give a light all around. So that's what I'm going to go for. You can play about what you think is best, okay, but it's going to be a point light, I think, rather than a spotlight. So spotlight for the spotlight, but a point light for the cab light. So I've got one here already. I'm going to delete that because I don't need that. I was going to use that to explain, but I'll create new ones. So let's start with the spotlight. So that's pretty easy, isn't it? Blueprint, and let's go to spotlight. There we go, spotlight blueprint. Let's call this cab spot. Okay, there we go. Now this is spotlight. Now I said about not giving it a name in the past, but to be honest, I've had so much trouble that's with things like where it rejects because it hasn't got a name or whatever, and I'm not sure which needs a name and which doesn't, so I'm going to give this a name. So we'll call it Cab Spot. There we go, just so we've got a name. And same here, let's put a display name in. Can I do that? No, it just copies and pastes. So let me well, it don't copy and paste, sorry, it just copies. Right, okay then. So we've given it a name. Exclude it from the browser list. You're not going to select a light. Okay, render component. No, we've got no. There's no renderable component there that you might have, like a holder gizmo or whatever, to show where the light is. So let's get rid of that. We're not going to fill that out. We want this light component. So now we move on to the light component part. Looks a bit daunting because it uses terms that have no explanation in the developer's guide. Radius, phi and theta. Also, there's no SI units attached to it on the blueprint editor, so you wouldn't know whether it's an angle, a distance or what. But let me explain, and explain in a way that perhaps I know best, which is in theatre and television lighting. Now, with these three figures here, the radius, we would say in television and theatre, we would talk about the throw distance of a light, how far forward it goes before the light weakens to a point where it doesn't light a subject up. Now, in the real world, that's generally we take it as when it falls to half power, and that would be the throw distance from where the fitment is, where the center of the light is emanating, to that half power point. In fact, in the 3D world, it can be suddenly stop. That's the nature of 3D world. It's not the real world, so you could have that stop dead. So if you have it throwing for 10 meters, after 10 meters, 10.1 meters, and there would be no light at all. So that is in here called the radius, and it is really, because if you take it as a giant ball, then it's the distance from the center of the ball to the edge of the ball. Okay, so that's the radius. The other two components here, well, in theatre and television, we talk about beam angle. Okay, how wide the beam is, how much of an angle it covers, and that is what the phi setting is about. It's how wide the beam is. Now, unusually, this is in degrees. Normally you'll find in the blueprint editors, when it talks about an angle, it talks about it in radians, which there's only 7 in a full circle rather than 360. So you need to know what this setting is, but it's that beam angle, it's the width of the beam in degrees. Theta is a sort of softness control, if you like. And again, in theatre and television, we would talk about whether a spotlight is hard-edged or soft-edged. Now, if it's hard-edged, it'd be like the spotlight when you see a performer on stage, and from the back comes a beam of light, and it forms a circle, and you can see the edge of the circle. Okay, and the soft light, the circle wouldn't be distinct. It wouldn't be distinct. It'd fade off. And that's what the theta controls, the softness of that edge. So it softens the light, so it makes a gradual fall off. Okay, so that's it. That's what these controls are. The radius is the throw distance, how far forward the light will go. The phi is the angle. So if you're talking about a headlight, how wide is that? Does that cover? Does it cover all the tracks or just the track in front of the train? And the feeder is whether it's a, you know, if it comes up to a bridge, whether it forms this hard edge or whether it's a soft light. And in the case of headlights on a train, then you probably find like the tail lights, the red light, they would be soft, quite soft edged, but the headlights themselves would be quite hard edged. So the nearer that this theta is to the phi angle, the harder that edge will be. So depending on whether you want a hard edge or a soft edge would depend on what values you put in there. If this is much lower, if the theta is much lower, then it will be a soft edge beam. Okay, so that's what radius, phi and theta control. Okay, the other things here, colour, well yes, if it's an interior light they tend to be warmer than exterior lights, generally we would put a light straw colour, we would say, so just the tinge of yellow in that. So you just put the sort of yellow, adjust these so that it gives it a bit of a yellow tint. Okay, cast shadows. Shadows take a lot of memory to create, so just be careful whether you want shadow to cast. Headlights, for instance, that you know they will cast shadows, but other lights you may not. It may not be good to show shadows. In the cab, you probably would want shadows for definition of the controls and that. Day-night cycle, well that depends. If you select that, that would switch lights on when it got dark. So things like the carriage lights and that you might want to come on. Certainly station lights you want to come on when it gets dark. So that's the light component. Hopefully with the aid of the diagram you can see what that radius, phi and theta stand for. So there it is. That's the spotlight. Okay, let me just save that. Okay, and let me make this next one. So we want add and new item, and we want a point light now. So let's go point light. There we go, point light, and I'm going to call this cab. We might call it point. And then when we do the desk light, we'll do cab desk. Now, I still haven't worked out about that desk light. I'm not sure of its value, but if you like, that wants to be perhaps like our spotlight there, spotlight, but with a very, very small radius to the beam, not the throw. The throw wants to be about the same, but much smaller. Anyway, let's go to here. Let's give this cab point. Okay, and let's do it here as well. Cab point. There we go. I'll get rid of that, and that's it. Okay, no, exclude from list, and I don't think we need. I'll select that, but I don't think we need it, to be honest. But there we go. I've selected it anyway. Right. Okay. Now we haven't got that phi and theta here because we haven't got a sort of beam width in that sense. The width or the radius here will be controlled here. Okay. Color, I should have taken note of this color really. Let me have a look. It's 11.9. I'm going to make that 0.9. That makes it so much easier to reproduce, doesn't it? There we go. And so let's do the same. Let's have the same 11.9. Am I on the same one? Yes, I am. I thought we looked so 1 and 0.9. Okay, there we go. Let's bung that up so we can see it. Yes, light straw. No, day-night cycle, no. Now, cast shadows. Okay, now do we want shadows cast? Well, if you cast shadows, it adds more to the generation of it, i.e. it needs more graphic performance. I'm going to go cast shadows. If it causes a problem, just take the shadows off. Okay, if your machine's too slow or whatever, take the shadows off. There we go. So let's just export that. Oh, and the radius here then. Let's move that down again. Let's go for about 2. There, we'll have a look at it. Okay, so there we are. I'll just save that again. Okay, now let's come back to our engine folder. Now these are going to be children. Okay, so we want these as child objects. So there we go. We've got 2 here, and we'll go cab spot. Okay, and we'll call this one cab point. Okay, right, let's sort these out then, and we want TNM and add on 01. Okay, blueprint ID then, it's that one. Where are we? That's the spot, so it's that one. So copy the path and paste it there. Now matrix, okay, X, Y and Z. So let's have a look. This is the spotlight, so we know it's going to be 0 in the X direction because it's right in the middle. And let's see where it's coming from. Well, it's coming from there. Let's see where that is. 8.9, 8.95 and 3.3. Yes, 8.95. So let's go 8.95, 8.95, and then I think I said 3.3, didn't I? We might need to lower that. 3.3. We'll see what it looks like, because again, we don't want to risk it coming, spilling or bleeding out of the top of the cab or whatever. If we've got gaps there, we'll soon see. Okay, so that's that one set. Next one, let's copy that. Let's paste it. Oh no, oh never mind. It's only those 2. That's going to be the point. Copy, paste. Okay, and let's just add these. Where am I? TNM, TNM, and add on 01. Right, okay, so again, where's this going to be? It's going to be 0 in the X direction. Now the height, well, we said that spot was about 3.3, which is round about where the cab light is, but we want it lower than that, so I'm going to go more for about 2.25. Okay, so this will be almost behind the driver, so to speak. I'm hoping there that it will cast the light, but not cast the or that centre part onto the wall, so it doesn't look overexposed too much. Well, let's have a look where that's going to be. Well, it's probably going to be where this window is, isn't it? Somewhere around here, which is what, 8.1. So perhaps 8.15. I think I'll go for. So yeah, 8.15. 15. Okay, so there we go. They are our lights then. So what do we want now? Right, if I go into Train Sim now, these will be there. They'll be on. Okay, so what we've got to do is switch them on and off as we want them. Okay, so for that I need to add a bit of Lua script. Very simple Lua script. Here is our initial Lua script. We've got an initialize function to set variables at the start. And then we've got this function on control value change. So we're looking for those control values and we're looking for any changes to occur. And when they occur, we will then enact some routine. Okay. So here we've got one here. If call control exists, then set a value to that control. Okay, so that is this function. Okay, and so we come here where it says end of loop, and we're going to now create a routine there. So we're going to say if, okay, we want to check them. So we want to let's go, where is it, star and colon, star colon, I should actually put question marks there, star colon get control value. Okay, so we're going to get the control value and see what it is. So get control value, speech marks, comma. Now what control value are we looking for? We're looking for that cab light control value. So we want again speech marked cab light control. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, and let's speech marks, comma, and if you've got more than one cab light control, then you might have 1, 2, 3 or 4, but we haven't. We've only got the one, so we call that 0. Okay, so if that equals, if it's a test condition, you always put the double equal sign. Equals, well, what's the first one? Well, the first one, spotlight, shall we say? So we're looking for it to be -1. When it's -1, it's on. So if it's -1, then okay, we want to switch that light on. So then call, oh, I should put a capital C there. So call, so this is the call. Oh, and I should have put call there, or not put the call there. Let me go back and just do that. Call, there we go, we're calling it. If call, okay, now we want to activate it. So what we do, we go if call, speech marks. Now it was, this is cab spot, wasn't it? Cab spot. Okay, oh no, don't want capitals, press the capital there. Spot, if cab spot activate, so call cab spot activate, comma, and we want it to be on, so we say 1. Okay, so that will switch that on. Else, so if it's not -1, else then we want to make sure it's off. So there we go, paste, and so if it's not 1, else make it 0, and then end. Okay, there we go. So that's our routine for our spotlight. Okay, so if the cab light control is -1, so when it's switched to the left, then activate this cab spot, okay, by making it 1, so that switches it on. If it's not, else, if it's not -1, then switch it off, make sure it's off. Okay, so then I'm just going to copy this, because now we want exactly the same. Okay, there we go. And cab light control, so if it's 1, then we want cab point to be 1. If not, we want cab point to be 0. Okay, now I really should check this bit of scripting. I think that's how it should be, I'm okay with the get and set control values, but the activates, I think that's how it should be. The name of the object you're activating with colon and then activate and then that. If it doesn't work, you know I've got this bit of Lua wrong. So I'll mark this up, and I'll generally just two hyphens like that will make it a statement. So this is spotlight. Oh, spotlight. Spotlight control. I should call that routine. Spotlight routine. I don't know in Lua whether they call it routine, but in BASIC you would have said it's a routine. End of spotlight routine. Okay, and same here. Okay, I'll call it start of cab light routine. Okay, and end of cab light routine. There we go. I suppose I should say start of. There we go. Now I just do that so you know what you've got. So what we want to do then is to save that. Check it first. Check the syntax. And I could go and check this. In fact, if it's wrong, you won't know because I'll check it when I go from here. So cab point activate 1, cab point activate 0. Okay, you could activate them to start with. They'll be off. You don't really need to initialize them, but let's save that then. Okay, let's go back into our blueprint editor. So just cab spot, cab point. I'm going to go back, make sure cab spot, cab point. Yep. Okay, so it's spelt right, and I think that syntax is right. We'll soon know. And so now let's save this out. If there's a problem with the Lua, it'll tell me now. Let me go back. Always double check. Make sure you've got if call, yeah, call, end, yeah, you've got an end to the routine. If, yeah, call, else, end, you've got an end to that routine as well. Make sure you've got this then on, and you've got the else on. Yep. Just check, did I save it? Yes, I saved it. So now this should save out okay. So it should export. Yep, it has. It's not thrown up an error with the Lua, so this is correct. So now you won't know because I'll go and change that Lua if I got that syntax wrong, but I don't think I have. So now we go into Train Sim and see if the lights are working.